here for Teaching Adult Coloring with ILene Vick. It is Saturday, July 17th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I am live. So good to see everybody. I hope you're having a great day. I am, and I magically pass that on to you. My great day, I'm sending it through vibes to you guys. All right, welcome to my Facebook peeps. Good to see everybody who drops in the room. Maddie, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my Facebook peeps who lurk and watch. Love it. But please do feel free to drop in and say hello. And welcome to my YouTube viewers. Zoom out. Love everybody. You guys are great. Come on in, relax, color, just watch if you don't color, enjoy the chat. We usually have a good time in here. I don't really think that there's been a time that we really haven't had a good time. All right, guys. So let's see, any announcements? Well, let's see, I've got a few things coming in Monday that I'll show you. No contest yet to talk about. So let's get coloring. All right, so this is the piece that I've been continuing working on. It's from Life Escapes 3. This is the digital download. And guys, I can't say this enough. Life Escapes is running a 75% price off their downloads. So I would sure look into those. Hi, Sandy. Good to see ya. So definitely check that out. The link is in the room, and I will double check later on to make sure that I've also made it an announcement so you guys can look up into that. Okay, so I've continued with this. All I really have left to do is the sky. And it'll be done. Having a lot of fun with it. I hope you've been enjoying my progress photos. This is something I've been doing off camera just to show you, the progress on it. I may even work on it a little bit tonight. We'll see. Okay. And if somebody will do a sound check for me, I would appreciate that. Okay, this little guy is from Hello Autumn. Almost done with it. I've been having a good time showing this to you. Zoom in. Okay, Maddie, thank you. So I'm going to work up the sky. And then we've got our little girl with the dragon. Having a lot of fun doing this. Too stinking cute. Love that dragon. Zoom out. And that little puppy is from Fairy and Fantasy. Now, I get it that you might not be into multicolored skin. That's fine, but I'm just showing you the technique. Maddie says that she loves her. Oh. I finished up the red hair off camera. Hello, Rhonda. Let me do a little camera adjustment. There we go. I think we're good right there. All right. So I hope you guys are enjoying these projects. I may do that pirate next. And you guys are telling me that you would be interested. Rhonda says I'm partial to baby dragons. Yeah. Yeah, remember Henry that was sick with the cold? Poor little guy. He was fun to do. I'll bet you they have a coloring book that's just nothing but baby dragons. That would be fun. All right. So let's get coloring. Just telling you what's going on. I pray everybody's doing well. Let's see. I've got too many things to choose from for doing colors. Let's see what kind of trouble I can get into here. Rhonda says she's got a prayer request. Sandy says too much rain since yesterday hasn't stopped. Rhonda, what's your prayer request? Hello, Sarah. Let's see. Maddie says rain here too, flooding in this area. Mild flooding. Okay. So the prayer is for you, Rhonda, right? Is it a physical thing? Is it something going on with the family? Sarah says, please pray my friend Michelle Scott will learn to be my friend again. For your friend Paula. Okay, Sarah, give me a minute. Lord God, in the holy name of Jesus Christ, Rhonda Green has requested a prayer for her friend Paula. You know what the circumstances are, and I ask you to intervene in that issue and to take care of it. Lord God, you know best what needs to happen. And I ask you, with your wisdom and your love and your mercy, to handle that issue. You know best. Lord God, please help Rhonda through this issue. She said that she's not doing well, so it is affecting her. I thank you, God, and we join you in your mercy and your caring. Help Rhonda, help her friend Paula. Thank you so much. In the holy name of Jesus Christ, amen. Okay. All right, Sarah is asking that we pray that her friend Michelle Scott will learn to be her friend again. Lord God, in the holy name of Jesus Christ, Sarah Thacker is petitioning in prayer that her friend Michelle Scott will learn to be her friend again. Lord God, I will not pray that specific prayer. I will pray that you intercede in that issue between the two of them, and that you use your mercy and your judgment to decide what needs to be done. And I pray that Sarah accepts the outcome of it. Lord God, we so thank you for your wisdom. And we come to you in prayer to handle that situation and to give Sarah Thacker peace and Michelle Scott peace, and that relationship comes to the outcome that you deem it should be. We thank you for your wisdom and grace. In Jesus' name, amen. Hi, Tammy. Good to see you, sweetie. Okay, Miss Tammy, would you like me to pray for your friend's daughter? I'm assuming that that's why you brought this up. I will be glad to do that. Lord God, this group comes to you for Tammy Myers. Her friend's daughter was hurt and run over by a car. And as a result, she has a broken leg in 3 places and a broken ankle. She's 26 years old, and Lord God, she needs your healing. I ask you, in your mercy, to help this young lady, and that we come together in prayer to pray for this young lady. She's obviously hurting, the family is hurting, and we need your intercession. Thank you so, so much for your help. And thank you for listening to our petition. In the holy name of Jesus Christ, amen. All right. We color, we pray, we have fun. Guys, you know where to put these issues, right? Put them in God's hands. Hello, Rita from Santa Fe, New Mexico. All righty. So, as I said, I'm going to be working on the dragon. I'm going to be working on this. I'm going to pull out my chalks. Now remember, if you don't have the pastel chalks, hello, Rita. You can use eyeshadow. I like to use both. I love all you ladies. Excuse my arm. Excuse. Zoom out. Okay. Now again, if you don't have the chalks, use eyeshadow. If you don't have eyeshadow, use your pencil. Alright. Let's get this puppy wrapped up. Okay, Tammy, what did you miss, sweetie? Oh, okay, Tammy, you know that this goes to video, right? In the group. So I would encourage you to go back and listen to it. Okay. And you are most welcome. Okay, Rhonda, how are you awkward with the chalk? Okay, so I'm taking a nice medium blue. And I'm using my little spongy applicators. I love these. Yeah, she's covered with prayer now, Tammy. These are 3 inches long. I love them because I have larger hands. They are in the affiliate list if you want to pick some up. Okay, Rhonda, are you using the sponge applicators? Alright, now what I want you to notice, remember before that I went through and I put the light blue color on here with my wax pencils. Not wax, just with my pencils. And now I'm coming back and I'm putting on the blue in little swirls. You see how I'm spotting that? Zoom in. Thank you, Tammy. Now, the reason that I put on that light blue color first is so that when I come back with my chalks, it makes it look like there's blue sky peeping through in between clouds. Everybody see that? So the background that you are seeing is actually the light blue, and then we've got that, and that light blue peeks through. So in other words, wherever I'm putting the blue, that's where the sky is. And what I also want you to notice, which I hope is visible to you, is I'm even going to come back with a second layer of the blue and darken up a couple of the spots. Now, when you do this, you in effect have to think in reverse. And by that I mean, see this area where I put this blue? I want that to have a little more white. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to erase out some of that blue. So when I'm telling you that you got to think in reverse, when you go to put this blue down, you're not actually putting blue sky down per se. You are working where you're going to put your clouds and defining them. Does that make sense? And your natural inclination is going to be to fill it in with blue. You don't want to do that if you want your cloudy area to show up. Isn't that beautiful? So this is a really neat way to make a sky, cloudy sky. Now, if you feel that you don't have the experience to do that, what you do is you cover your whole area in your blue, your darker blue, and then you go back with your eraser and erase out the spots where you want your clouds. Either way is fine. And you may end up doing it both ways, just like what I'm doing now. Look how beautiful that sky is, guys. Is the light bulb going on for anybody? And now I'm going back through, and with the tip of my applicator, this is why in part I love these things, is I'm going back and highlighting some of my areas. I have seen so many people struggle with how to get, I mean, look how beautiful this cloudiness looks. Cloudiness? It's a very, very straightforward method. And it looks so natural. That's what I like about it. And the neat thing too is when you're putting your eyeshadow on, just by your normal hand movements, it makes the shape of the clouds naturally. They don't look contrived, and they don't look like you used a stencil. Now, having said that, a stencil is fine, guys. It really is. Sandy, you'd love your eyeshadow. Go to Walmart or the dollar store. Oh man, look how natural those clouds look, guys. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, now I'm going to hit some of these teeny tiny areas with my blue. And again, notice that I'm going through and highlighting some of the blue areas, just making it just a tad darker in some spots. Play with it, enjoy. Become one with the clouds. Bob Ross would say that. Are you guys going to start calling me Babette Ross? Become one with the clouds. Okay, questions, comments. Isn't that cool? All right, let's get a little bit of darker blue down at the bottom. I'm going to use the side now of this and pop in that blue behind my rails. Somebody finish this sentence for me. Sweat the what? I love it. Da-da-da. Details, that's right, small stuff. And notice the darker that I make the blue, the more prevalent the white. And remember, don't make a pattern, guys. Eyeshadow works very, very well. You won't be sorry getting eyeshadow, Sandy, if that's your question. All right, zoom out. Zoom out. Isn't that beautiful? Does anybody have any question at all about how I did this? And again, this is where you can go back through and erase out some of your areas. Do not get an expensive, or no. Sandy, it does not have to be expensive, and it does not need to be a specific kind. I think I need to leave this well enough alone now. Now, let me show you just a little extra touch here. You guys like how this sky came out? Hello, Mary. Sandy, if you have eyeshadow at home now, get some and use it on your picture and play with it. Okay, now I'm going to come in with a little bit, with a tinge of purple. Not much, very light. And it just adds a little kick. Now, if you prefer just the blue, yeah, go to the dollar store, go to Walmart. Make sure that it's powder and not cream. If you want, you can add a little bit of purple. And you want to do that very lightly, okay? And I'm deciding, I'm changing my mind about doing that. I'm just going to stay with the blue. There we go. Let me put a little splotch of white in here. I love it. I'm very happy with the way this turned out. And I better quit while I'm ahead. Oh, forgot an area down here. Zoom in. Let's get this little area here. Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about using eyeshadow? Zoom out. All right. And let me put this away. Sandy, this is something I got off of Amazon. It's by BH Cosmetics, and there's a ton of them out there. This is one of like 3 sets that I have, and it's got a full palette of colors, and there's like 3 layers in here. And the only reason I bought it was because it was on sale. Okay, a couple more touches and then I am done. What do you guys think? You like it? I like it, I love it, da, 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 da. What's that song? Somebody's going to have to tell me what that is. Okay. Wanda is in the room. Hi, Wanda. Okay, I need to find something. Hi, Pearly. Oh, Rhonda, you're welcome. Wanda says she's just stopping in for a few, going out later. Wonderful. Have fun. Okay, I am missing one of my add-on thingies. Bear with me, folks. Do you guys remember those little ladybugs that I had? They're little wooden ladybugs. I've added them onto stuff before. And that's one of the things that I was going to add, and they have flown the coop. So when I find them, I will do that. Unless they are in here. Let me see. Angela. The pearly gates. Wanda, how long can you stay? Okay, give me a second, guys, because I really want to show you this. I really, really do. Nope, not in here. Maddie, will you please help just until your friend gets here? Okay. Wanda, I was just showing an alternate way. I haven't forgotten your question, Sandy. Give me a minute. Where are you going, Wanda? So I had some little buglets, ladybugs. So there it is. And I will add my ladybugs when I find them, and I will show you. Out to listen to music. Oh, fun. Okay, Sandy, what you do is you take your fixed tip and you spray it on when you print off your piece or you have your page. And before you do any coloring on it, you spray it on there. Follow the directions on the can. Then you let it thoroughly dry. Do your coloring, and when you're done, you spray it on again. So what I'm missing right now are my little ladybugs, and a couple on here would be perfect. But other than that, I am going to call this done. Anybody have any any questions before I take it off the table? One thing I am going to do, and I'm going to show you this, I won't do it now. Is that cake is really bothering me. So I'm going to do the preliminary on it. And I want to show you this little trick. I'm going to take my white pen and I'm going to get rid of that icing line. And this is my Arteza pen. And then I'll let that dry, and then I will find a comparable marker with in the same color and dab it on there. And that's going to get rid of that harsh line, because that is bugging me. No. Oh, that's a good point. Wanda says, I'm wondering how they got that cake inside that pic. Yeah. Good point. Zoom out. Zoom out. So for anybody wondering about that technique, Arteza white pen, dabbed on there, it'll be dry during my broadcast, and I will come back with it and I will show you. I'm just going to dab on my marker. You cannot use pencil because it pushes away the white gel. You guys might remember the Flower Head Lady by Bennett Klein. I completely went around the outside of that with the white pen and colored over it, and you don't see a line on it. Okay. Here we go. And Wanda, zoom out. I showed this at the beginning of the broadcast. I just wanted to show you that real quick. Oh, and guys, this was all the same background here, so I went ahead and popped some blue in there to make it look like the water. This is grayscale. So I'm just going to finish up the sky. I may even do a little bit of that tonight yet to show you. Yeah, it's just a cool, surreal picture, Wanda. Wanda, I hate to tell you this, I bought a bunch of those books from Life Escapes. Hi, Helen. So I wanted to show you guys that I've been working on this as well. I'll look at that, Helen. Ellen says I put some smudge white on the center of the cake. Yeah, their grayscale is really good. Okay, let's play with our little dragon lady baby. And like I said, I finished up the red hair. Now I'm going to work on the gems. And we need to decide what we want to do with the ribbon. Now, I don't want to use red because it's going to conflict with the hair, especially if I don't get the same shade. Green, maybe. I'm leaning towards a nice blue. I wonder how Karron is doing. She had her MRI on Friday from her fall. So let's go ahead and play with that ribbon. Yeah, lavender on the in the gems. Yeah. Good idea, Wanda. And actually, I think I'm going to change that ribbon color to a lavender. Angela, okay. I'm hoping you'll be back later. Angela, how are you feeling? Everything going okay? Okay. Zoom in. So I'm going to start in now with this lavender. Now you got to be careful because purples have shades of blue and red. So what I'm doing now is I'm shading in my colors lightly. Now, for me, because I've been doing this, I'm already going to go a little bit darker on the inside. Well, and you can do it too, but you got to be sure of your color. You know that I always advise you guys to put light versions of your colors on before you make any final decisions. And you'll keep turning your pencil, and you'll allow your pencil to go a little bit over the line. When I first started coloring, I always tell you the story. I had the opposite problem. As I was trying to be so careful, I didn't quite get it up to the line. Now on these gems, I'm going to go I'm in fact not even going to touch these yet. And that's right, this ribbon can be shaded with blue as well. You know, just like your sky, when you put together blue and purple, it's funny you should mention that, Wanda, because I was thinking about doing that. So remember, get your pencils all the way out to the edge. Zoom in. And then we'll take this around here. And you guys know that I've been talking to you about using multiple colors when you color. That will complement each other. That's why Rhonda was bringing up the blue. You turn you here. Now this pencil that I'm using happens to be the Brett Funner. Again, I don't fixate on whatever pencils I'm so sorry that I use, because I've got like what, 12 brands, 11, 12, 13 brands. If you tend to use one, that's fine. Wanda, how many brands of pencils do you have? I'm guessing that you have about 7, I think. Zoom out. All right, I want to show you how this is starting to look. Zoom out. Zoom out. Look how pretty, guys. And I don't want anybody fussing about the brands that they do or don't have. Because you can make them work. Thank you, Tammy. She says she loves the purple. Now, the way that I treat a picture, and you hear me say this a lot, is like I'm painting it. I'm not in a hurry to finish a picture. Zoom in. You'll have a total of 800 Brett Funner pencils. Whoa. There you go. I hear people all the time saying, oh, I only have, you know, whatever brand. Guys, when people see your pictures, they're not going to know what brands you use. It's what you do with them that make the difference. Oh, why the frowny go by? Somebody made a frowny. I'm going to do something real quick here. Hello, Pauline. Pauline just got off work from the store. Pauline, it's a shame that you weren't here the other night. I ended up playing the Canadian National Anthem, the UK National Anthem, and the US National Anthem, along with "We Are Family," ta 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 ta. Sandy says she'd like the Brett Funner for all the colors it has. Gotta wait for it to come back in stock. Okay. Wanda, does Wish still have them in stock? So anyway, as I was saying, I don't want to hear anybody. Hey, we had a good time, Pauline, that night. It was crazy in here. And the way it started was that Sandra from Canada came in. And so, you know, when I say hi to people, oh, they still show some available. Oh my gosh, JoJo. Oh, honey, I have not seen you in ages. And that is true. Some brands don't work as well as others on certain paper or coloring books, and she doesn't have a printer, yeah. Sandra, get in touch with Wanda, and you may want to order those pencils from Wish. JoJo, how have you been? JoJo's from Australia. What time is it in Australia?
In Canberra, Australia, it's 11:04 a.m.
So the story about the national anthems, Sandra from Canada comes in and I'll sing, "Oh, Canada." Well, I don't know the national anthem from that point. And finally that night, to surprise her, I played the Canadian national anthem. JoJo says she's doing fine, have been babysitting the grandson 3 days a week. How come you haven't been dropping in, sweetie? I haven't seen you in ages. Are you still coloring? Okay, everybody see how I'm working this color? Good night, Wanda. You have a wonderful time. Thank you so much for stopping in. So, Pauline, that's how we ended up doing all the anthems. That was a wild night. Zoom in. Zoom in. Actually, Wanda is going out to listen to music with a friend, JoJo. JoJo said she needed to tidy up her art desk so she could bring her laptop back in. Okay. So, Jojo, does this mean that you're going to be visiting more often? And the funny thing is, when I started playing the national anthems, Sandra from Canada said that when hers came on, she stood up to listen to it. Whoops. Melba says hello, everyone. Okay. Melba likes to listen into the background while she's working on stuff. Hi, Melba. Love you, sweetie. Well, Jojo, at least put my program on in the background, okay? Then we can talk about you and you can't say anything. You guys know that I used to FaceTime with Jojo and help her with her coloring. That was so much fun. Zoom out. Zoom out. I'm telling you guys, that's why you should belong to this group. We have fun. Even if you're just going to listen. Okay. Helen, are you still there? Yeah, I was mentoring Jojo by FaceTime. Okay. So I'm going to take my blender pencil and very lightly, I'm going to just quickly smooth my edges here, my coloring. I'll tell you what, we have our Australians coming in, we have our Brits coming in. Do you guys know that we have a group from South Africa that watches? They watch the videos because of the time difference. But it's a group of ladies that do their coloring. Hi, ladies. I'm going to say hi to them. There is a coloring wheel that you can purchase and what that does is that tells you, Sandy, what colors you can use and what go together. So for example, where this triangle is on here, these are called tridactic colors, and that means you can put blue, yellow, and reds together. And you roll this around, so now it tells you you can do green, brown, and purple. So this is called the Rainbow Pick, Point, and Match. And it also has the 4 areas here So you can do yellow, in this case, brown, purple, and blues. And then you just rotate this when you're picking colors. And what I would suggest that you do is go to YouTube and do a search on how to use a color wheel. I don't want you to get too hyper wrapped up in it, but it's very helpful. Oh, I get messages from all over the world from people. Zoom in. Zoom in. Okay, so what Wanda was talking about is I'm going to shade now. And I'm going to do that with my blue. And I want you to see how cool that looks. It's not for mixing colors, it's for using those colors on your coloring page. So it tells you what colors you can use with what. Alright, now notice where I've got my purples a little bit darker, that's where I'm going ahead. And I'm shading in with my blue. They can be used together. That's what that means. That color wheel helps you decide what colors go with what colors. So yes, that's what a color wheel does. Okay, so notice now that I'm using my blue with my purple very lightly, and basically wherever I made my purple a little bit darker, that's where I'm emphasizing my blue. Now, I'm pressing it with my finger to blend it. It's making it a little messier, but it doesn't matter. Now, the other thing that I tell people when they're coloring, look around your living room. Look around outside. Look at the clothing that people wear. That will give you ideas of what colors go with what colors. And I'll tell you what, since I've started adult coloring all these years now, I am so aware of colors around me now. Everybody see how this blue and this purple are looking really good together now. Now, I had a little bumpy edge on the bottom of my dress from my markers. And what I'm doing now is I am, hold on, let me shade this. I am smoothing out that bottom with my pencil. Well, Sandy, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to go, not right now, to YouTube and type in how to use a color wheel. And I want you to watch the different videos. There is a plethora of information out there. Now, don't let it overwhelm you. Thank you, Jojo. Oh my gosh, Jojo, I'm so glad to see you. About a week ago, I was thinking a lot about you, and it's so funny. I've had this happen so many times that I'll think about somebody and they'll pop up in my life. Now, as you guys also know, I have no problem recommending YouTube videos. Look, I'm not in competition with anybody, guys. If I find something that helps you, I'll tell you about it. Remember when I had Color with Karron? That was such a fun interview. Okay, everybody see how I'm emphasizing that blue? Well, Jojo, my gosh, you're welcome anytime. Love you, sweetie. It's so funny. Anytime I hear about news of Australia, I think about you. Now, see this white spot here? I don't know what that is. I don't know if it was something in the paper that when I printed this out, it printed over it. I will see if I can get rid of it, but I'm not going to fuss over it. Jojo says she's missed the family too. Yeah. Now notice how I'm keeping this blue near the bottom, and then it comes out the purple after that, and then the lighter purple after that. The OG Aussie. Well, Jojo, I hope that we see you more often from here on out. So, have you been coloring all along, or what? Did you just give it up for a while? Okay, see how I'm running this blue, guys, around the edge? And then of course you've got to blend it in or else it's going to look wonky. Zoom out. Turning my pencil, of course. You want to keep that point. Okay, good. So you say, I'll make sure of it, Eileen. I've been coloring, just haven't finished any of them yet. You've got 4 pieces on the go. Okay. Hey, Jojo. Now, do you remember that dragon picture that you and I were working on together? And I was helping you with that? And you kept saying you didn't like it? And I kept saying it looked really good? Did you ever finish that one? Zoom in. I can't think of the author. It was a very unusual name. The dragon was sticking its body and head through the castle. All right, zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. Little bit of very light blending. Anybody have any questions or comments about this, for lack of a better word, ribbon that I just did? Zoom in. Zoom in. Now, when you blend, very lightly, guys, or else you're going to mush your colors together. I'm barely touching the paper. So you ended up finishing it? You absolutely hated that piece? You were convinced that you'd screwed it up, and I said, no, you didn't. It looks great. I hope you still have it. Zoom out. Zoom out. What do you think? Jojo says, and you were right to encourage me to persist. I give up too easily sometimes. Yep, yes you do. I talk to my peeps all the time about this. Everything goes through an ugly phase. It does, because it's unfinished work. You've got to quit getting rid of your pieces because you think it looks bad. There is no way to make that determination until you finish it. And even then, what looks bad to you is going to look fantastic to somebody else. Okay. Well, Sandy, that's true. Yeah, and Jojo now says, I tucked them away now and I'm ready to look at them with new eyes. Yep. But Sandy, it's not so much mistakes, it's criticizing stuff way too early and giving up. Jeff Haney, remember he said that in his entire career he only threw away one piece, and he regrets it to this day. Guys, nothing personal, but you're not art critics. So Sandy says, I do agree as I do my pick, and the more it gets done, it starts to come together. Yep. Look, how many times have you guys watched me, right? And you'll look at something, I'm sure, and go, ugh. Or some of you, I missed the jewel. Or some of you will, you know, when I get to the end of it, I think Rhonda said this one time, that she said, it's absolutely amazing how you take a picture that I'm not really excited about and turn it into something really nice. Was that you, Rhonda? Okay, and Sandy, you fixed your sun the other day and you liked it much better. There you go. Oh, this is too stinking cute. Hey, Jojo, this is a, look, see this? It's a silk flower that I glued on here. Zoom in. Zoom in. See that? Zoom out. I gotta blend this flower a little bit more. That is way too harsh. Zoom out. And, Jojo, zoom in. Zoom in. These are all those little adhesive rhinestones. Zoom in. See that? I glued those on. There you go. Zoom out. Oh man, pretty. Zoom out. So, do you guys see how nice? Yeah, Rhonda says, I think I said you turn it into something I actually love. That was it. Now, again, guys, I'm not looking for compliments. I just want you to learn the techniques. I gotta put a new eraser in here. Okay, let's color some gems. What do you guys think of that? And don't forget, I've done a tutorial on gems, a quickie coloring tutorial. And I showed you 2 different ways to do it. And I need to grab some water. Give me a second here. So Jojo says I got a new eraser the other day before we went back in the lockdown, a Prismacolor Magic Rub one. Oh, okay. Jojo, will you post that in the group, please, so others can benefit? Okay. So we have got, oh, just thinking about these colors here. Okay, so typically here we would go, you know, you could go with a nice rich blue on here because we've got lots of blues, but we've also got some yellows in here and a little bit of orange in here on the horn of the dragon, which also reminds me, you guys need to make a decision on this. We need to put our little ribbon on our dragon. Remember we were talking about that the other day. So we've got two decisions to make. We need to decide on a color. Zoom in. And we need to decide on placement. So we've got the dark blue, we've got light blue, we've got a red that matches her hair. We've got a black. Speak up, guys. Which ones do you like? We've got a pink. Oh, that looks cute. We've got a gray. Jojo says red, Sandy says pink. Okay. Rita says no, but top of the head if you have to. Maddie says red. So we're zeroing in on red and pink. Okay, I'll go with the pink. Next question. On the neck or on the top of the head? Zoom out. Zoom out. Would someone message Rita to go out, and then Sandra says head? Neck or head, guys? So there's the head. There's on the neck. So far we've got 2 heads, 1 neck. Okay. Went out and came back in. Okay. All right, so I want to point out something here. Zoom in. Yeah, it looks like we've got about a 50-50 split. Oh, if I turn it that way, it keeps the gems in view, and also the oh man, both look so cute. Somebody do a quick count for me. I think head is taking over. Okay, I'm gonna do the head. Done. Glue is down. Or I could do the head and the neck. Oh my. Well, what I started to say, which now has become a moot issue, that had I done it on the neck, it would have hidden the jewels on the arm. If you have that situation happen to you, roll with it. Zoom out. There you go. Zoom out. All right, and what I started to say, so I was deciding about these gems, and we've got some yellow in here, and I can go with the blue or the blue turquoise, but I don't want them to get lost in the picture. So I'm thinking of going with a nice topaz, yellowish, amber color. So let me pull a couple pencils. Zoom in. Zoom in. So let's go ahead and start that up. I'm using an Arteza Tuscan Sun, which again is neither here nor there on pencil brand. Suffice to say it's a goldish color. And then we're going to pop in a nice brown. And notice that I am staying to the left with that. What makes the gem is that you're going from your lighter to your darker color. And then I'm going to enrich that color with a little bit of orange. Again, staying near my top, my left. So gold, brown, and orange. Zoom out. Anybody have questions about how I'm doing that gem? Zoom out. Now I'm going to use my goop, which is my plaid crystal clear. I bought a new bottle of it. This one's several years old. You're going to hear some thumping. And I'm going to goop some out on the paper. Did anybody buy any of this stuff, by the way? Come on in, it sounds like knocking, yeah. Now, I'm not going to thin it at all. Zoom in. Zoom in. Zoom in. And now I'm going to spread that stuff over the top. Be sure you get to your edges. And what that does is that makes that shiny. Everybody see that? Sorry for moving around. And we'll go ahead and get it on this bottom part. I want it nice and thick. See what you've been missing, JoJo? And if you get to the outside, on the, like on these tiny pieces, just wipe it back up with your toothpick. And then a tiny dot of it at the top. And a tiny dot of it at the bottom. Zoom out. Isn't that pretty? All right. Bottom gems. We fill in the gold. We fill in the brown. And notice that I'm using the brown on the shaded part of the gem. Now these other spots are teeny tiny, but hit them with your pencil anyway. And then a little bit of this orange. And again, I'm using the orange in the darker areas and leaving that first yellow alone. Again, I'm using this undiluted, and I'm saying that for a reason, because there are some instances where you want it diluted if you want a thinner coating. Everybody see the reflection from the light? That's what this stuff does. And then just wipe up the excess. Does anybody have any questions? So Rhonda, what is it, an application problem or what? Everybody see that white shine in there? That's that ridge that's creating. Isn't that pretty? Okay, let's do our next one. Again, our gold, brown, and orange to make that topaz color. Glitter glue, though, is just as tacky in some cases. Okay, now my brown. And I'm going to clean off the excess here. And then my orange. Now, you don't want to get too much orange because you don't want to really get away from that yellowish topaz look. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Now, just in case you were wondering, orange and purple do go together. Zoom in. Zoom in. Anybody have any question about coloring, how to color a gem into topaz? Gold, brown, and orange in that order. Now, if you don't like the addition of the orange for some reason, that your idea of topaz is a little bit different, don't put the orange in. Now, if your goop gets a little bit thick because it's sitting out in the air, just add a touch of water to it. Again, everybody see how it's picking up that light? Now, there are some instances where you're going to use this goop thinned out. But in this case, I want as much roughness as possible, and I don't want that goop to settle in flat. All right. La-da-dum. And my brown on my darker. Now these other little areas are teeny tiny. I want you to still apply your pencil colors, guys. It makes a difference. You might say, oh, it doesn't matter because they're small. Yeah, it matters. There we go. Jojo, you still with us? Okay, good. Rita, you still with us? Joyce, you still with us? Oh man, beautiful. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. Pretty. Zoom out. Isn't that pretty? All right, grabbing more water. It's humid. And do you guys see why I didn't go with the blue gems? I think the topaz looks beautiful. Okay. One more little area. Zoom in. Zoom in. Is everybody clear on how to color topaz? Well, Jojo, I didn't, you know, the blue or purple would have looked, excuse me, really good. But I felt that it would have gotten lost. Okay, brown little scribble here on the bottom and on the top where the author put the darker marks. Little scribble of brown there, little scribble of brown here. And I missed a dot. And then a little bit of orange. And again, if you don't want to put that orange on there, that's fine. Oh, beautiful. Zoom out. Zoom out. Zoom out. TSC. Who remembers what that means? Okay. I'm having way too much fun again. And I hope you guys are learning something. Now, I did the goop a little out of order because technically speaking, it really should be done at the last, but I wanted to show you that and to show you how all of this would be coming together. All right, let's go ahead and get her lips done. Lips are going to be a little tricky. Zoom in. Zoom in. Because we've already got pink in the piece on her face. And we really don't want to lose her lips. In the mix. So I'm going to use a little bit of purple on there. And that way we'll have them coordinating with the eyelids. Now notice that I'm just coloring near the edges, near the bottom, and that leaves my light aspect at the bottom to shine. When you color, guys, you need to be thinking about stuff like this. Zoom out. Zoom out. Doesn't that look great? Zoom in. Okay. Now I'm going to define my nose a little bit better. Rhonda, I use purple. You don't need to say you're sorry. And I'm going to use just a touch of brown on the eyebrows. It's actually a purplish brown. And I'm not going to let the eyebrows get too bulky. Okay, Sandy, good. Okay. Questions, comments? Now, I want the face to have a little more pizzazz, and the hands. So, I'm going to use my glop once again. Zoom out. And I'm going to thin it down with water. Zoom in, and I'm going to apply a coating of it to the face. And this is where we're using the different aspects of this stuff, that I'm using it in a very thin, as a very thin coating. Now, this will make sense in a moment. I know it looks weird. Trust me. And when that dries, it will dry flat and clear. You will not see these ridges. You see them now in the first application, but they will go away. Sandy, I put them in protector sleeves, and I put them in a notebook, 3-ring binder. Yeah, I got quite a few. I found an extra thick protector sheet, and not only is it extra thick, but the size of it, they enlarge it a little bit from the standard size, so that if you put bulky papers in there, it'll handle it. And that's good for me because when I do my add-ons, it thickens my page, just like that hat on the picnic basket. Zoom out. Now again, I know it looks weird right now, but remember my light is shining directly on it. Let me get it off. There we go. Everybody see that now? And what I'm doing now is just adding a little more water to smooth that out. And the reason I can get away with that is because my goop is forming a protective layer. There we go. Okie dokie smoky. Zoom out. All right, so I've got 3 little tiny paintbrush hairs in there that I need to get out. Either it's paintbrush hair or it's mine. There we go. Maddie, you ever get your hair in your paintings? All right, see that sheen? That's what we got. Okay, so Rhonda says she finished her piggies, finished blending them, not finished yet with rested picture, would appreciate suggestions. Okay. Zoom out. Okay. A couple more things and then and then we are done with this little guy anyway. Girl. So I've got 2 more things that I've got to address. Small stuff. Is the background and a couple of the clasps on the topaz pieces, the findings. Okay, so for the purposes of instruction, I'm going to go ahead and get my eyeshadows out so you can see how those work. Very simple, just like chalks. I want a very, very light blue. And what you want to do, of course, is test your eyeshadows on a piece of paper. Please do not skip that step, guys. You can't go by just the color chart of a product that you buy. You have to test it. So I'm going to go with a very, very light blue, which is my color up here. And this is where I take my sponge applicator, zoom in, excuse my hand, but I want you to see this close up. And again, this is where the tip of your sponges work beautifully, because you can get into small areas such as those curls. Now, I don't want my background to get in the way of my main piece. So this is why I'm going with this light blue. Oh yeah, I buy them on Amazon, Sandy. They're in the affiliate list. In fact, I purchased 2 packs of them because I use them all the time. Zoom out. Zoom out. They come in packages like this. And I highly, highly recommend them. I use them for everything. I use them for my gelatos. Zoom in. I prefer them over Q-tips, in fact. They literally actually are eye makeup applicators, and they're made so that the sponge keeps the powder stuck to them. Yeah, they are tons better than Q-tips. The Q-tips, they're made with that cotton, and that cotton tends to not adhere the best, whereas the sponge the sponge is a sponge. Okay, notice I'm picking up the bow to get underneath there, even though you're not necessarily going to see it. Sweat the details, guys. Zoom out. zoom out. Oh yeah, everybody see that, how beautiful that is? You can see that blue beautifully. It's just a very, very light blue. I'll probably leave this outside border white. We'll see. Okay, let me finish up one little thing and then we're basically done. Everybody clear on eyeshadow application? Let me put my eyeshadow away. Zoom out. Now, in this case, unlike my sky, I put the solid blue as the background. You remember on my sky, I erased out my little white portions. You could do that if you want to, and in fact, it would look very nice. I just don't want to do that. All right. Zoom in. Now I'm going to do something a little different with the outlining of my gems. And I'll tell you why I'm doing it, of course, because that's what I always do. I'm going to put black around the outside of this. And I'm using my black pen. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want the contrast on that topaz. Now, do you have to put black on there? No, of course not. I'm just showing you how it looks. Zoom in. And the reason that I did the outline of this larger gem last is I was debating whether I wanted to go with a different color, and I decided not to. And this is exactly why I tell you, is if you're not sure about what you want to do with a spot, jump over it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Boy, look at that gem shine. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. All right, let's go ahead to this one. And if you guys wonder why I take the time to finish something on camera, is because I absolutely want you to see the progression. And the reason that I'm using a black pen instead of a black pencil is because I absolutely want that richness in there. All right, let me show you how this is looking so far. Zoom out. Zoom out. Isn't that beautiful? Zoom in. Zoom in. Now again, you may not like some of my color choices or the subject matter, but I want you, as I always say, I want you to see the technique. Instead of using a black pen, you could use what? A blue pen. That would look pretty. I've got about 10 more minutes of broadcast time, guys, just to let you know. And I want you to see how this black makes it. When you add black to your piece, it makes your other colors look richer. It amps up the look of the whole piece. And how many times have you heard me say this? Don't be afraid of your colors, guys. You've got to color differently. If you keep coloring the same way all the time, where is the improvement? Zoom out. There you go. Isn't that beautiful? Now, zoom out. If you want to play around with your piece. Gee, guys, do I ever do that? Zoom in. Zoom in. I'm going to take my black pen and I'm going to put a little tip on there. See how I rounded that to make it look like it belongs? And just a little black there. Bet you didn't think of that, did you? Zoom in. And don't do what I just did on my piece. Does not wait long enough. I'll fix that later. I'm notorious for doing this. All right. So I want you to see exactly how I'm doing this. That's why I'm so close, is I'm making a little up arrow, and then I'm curving this. And because I want to make it look like a little cap to the piece. Anybody have any questions about that? Let's see if I can do this next set without getting into my work. Questions, comments? Arrow, curve. See how that looks like a cap then? All right, let me move you around. I don't want to make you dizzy. Circle, little cap, rounded cap, and a triangle cap. And what I want you to see and take note of is how the addition of the black makes everything pop. Do not be afraid of black. Now, don't get stupid with it, right? You know, I always tell you anything in excess looks weird. Okay, guys, about 5 more minutes. All right. Curve our little cap. Make sure that you clean off the tip of your pen because it gets full of wax when you color over pencil like this. Zoom out. Zoom out. What do you think? Zoom out. There you go. The full piece. And guys, take your time with your ink. Let it dry in between application. Questions, comments? And again, you don't necessarily have to like the piece per se, but I have shown you how to color each element. And actually, while I'm thinking of it, zoom in, zoom in, zoom in. Let's go ahead and get our nails colored. Now the fingernails already have shadowing on it, so I'm really good with just using this one color. Zoom out. Zoom out. There we go, guys. Zoom out. Does anybody have any questions about the techniques that I used? And specifically, what do you think now of the multicolored face? I know a couple of you had minor heart palpitations when I went ahead and used that on the face. So this piece has a bunch of techniques on it. And I hope you picked up something from it. Jojo says that multicolored face has grown on me. It totally works. Okay. Good. Christine likes it. And again, I'm not looking for compliments on it, guys. What I'm looking for is that you learn something from this and that you would try something like this, that you would do it. And I want you to think about things like doing topaz instead of doing the typical thing would have been to do something with blues, which is fine. But I want you to progress out of that and think a little bit differently without getting, crazy about it. If you get crazy, it's going to look bad. And this is the piece that I attached the flower to. Attach the bow. Oh my gosh, guys, wait a minute. I forgot something. Hold on. Hold on, then we'll call it a night. Zoom in. Completely forgot this. Zoom in. Zoom in. Okay, my white Arteza pen. We forgot the extra shine on the gems. So in addition to the glistening stuff, you can go ahead and add a little bit of your white. I would. I just did. And it looks pretty cool. Don't need much. Just a couple dots, especially on your teeny tiny spaces. It's going to look a little wonky close up. Oh, much better. Zoom out. Zoom out. Oh man, you guys are gonna kill me. I thought of an additional sit. Don't leave. Hold on. Jojo needs to see this because she hasn't been in the group for a while. Okay, remember how we have made the eyes look really cool? This is holographic cellophane that I bought. My regulars remember this. Jojo says she's sitting tight. Maddie knows what's happening with this. So I'm cutting up some teeny tiny pieces with this. Now, the way I bought this as holographic party bags. And it comes in a bunch of colors. And I cut them up. I mean, if you want to talk about tedious and a mess, bear with me, guys. Okay, watch this. This is worth the wait, guys. And then I truly will be done. I think we got everything. Zoom in. Zoom in. All right. We take a drop of glue and put it on her eyes. We're going to smush that around a little bit, wipe off any excess. And then we're going to take a piece of the holographic cellophane that I just cut off, cut up, and we're going to glue that onto the eye. Oh, Maddie says she's done with her project. All right, second eye. Take your stuff that you cut up, glop it on the eye. Now, make sure you're just on the eye. And then, same with our little dragon. And let me get my little spray pieces off here. Zoom out. Zoom out. What do you think, guys? Do you see it? Who remembers what TSC is? There you go. Let me get the other loose stuff off there. There we go. See it? Too stinking cute. Now, like I said, if you're gonna buy this, I have like 7 colors: red and blue and green and pink and a bunch of colors. The holographic stuff is really great for eyes. And one of our members, actually, that was Stacy. She said, "What about putting cellophane on the eyes?" And that was like light bulb. Zoom in. Zoom in. Isn't that beautiful? So there's an idea for you. Zoom out. Zoom out. Okay, guys, I truly am done. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something from it. And I can't say this enough, you gotta try these methods, guys. That expands your coloring. So we use colored pencils, we use markers, we used eyeshadow, we used window, that goop on there to make it shiny. Bunch of fun stuff. And then what I will do is I will put my Karron fixative on top of this. Alright guys, I'm done. Hope you had fun. I will see you tomorrow night, same time, same place. 365 days a year, including holidays. Love you guys. Guys, joyous, joyous coloring. And guys, please be kind to each other, won't ya? Jojo, delighted to see you again. I hope I see more of you. Sherry, didn't know you were here. Good night, sweetie. Love you guys. Tell your friends, and please, please share this broadcast on your timeline, okay? If people just want company and want to come in and want to watch and listen to us laugh and have so much fun, if they don't color, that's fine. Okay, peeps, take care.